Hello, 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 family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to MCA Mondays. So excited to be here. I am your host for today, Miss Corporate America 2019, Catherine Clark, your creative writing queen. So listen, our guest, I'm just so ecstatic about our conversation. We've had time to kind of chat and get to know one another a little better. So everyone, please put your hands together for this dynamic young woman. Her name is Lana Fountain, and she is a wonderful engineer who has taken a very, I would say, eclectic path. And so we're going to learn more about that tonight. So everyone put your hands together for Lana. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
So glad to have you here. Thank you for taking this opportunity to connect with us. And, before we kind of dive into our conversation, I like for all of our viewers to kind of get to know our guests a little bit better. So if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe, something interesting about you and just tell us where you're from so we can just get to know you.
Sure. So my name is Lana Fountain. I actually grew up on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in a small town, Moss Point, Mississippi. And I think I'm one of those, everybody describes me as a Renaissance woman. Like I want to try a little bit of something
I love it.
Different as I continue on this journey in life, and that I didn't just choose one thing that just I kind of stuck to, but I lived a full life, a whole life by trying small bits and pieces of everything that I possibly could along the way, both personally and professionally. I love swimming. I think it's one of my greatest personal accomplishments. I actually learned to swim as an adult. I was 37 years old.
Really? I love that.
I grew up near the water, but we didn't have access to pools. And so I never really quite learned to swim, but always admired people who knew how to swim. And so one day I just put an ad on Craigslist, and this retired synchronous swimmer came out to the community pool, and we swam 3 times a week from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And I learned to swim and went on to start doing amateur swim competitions and triathlons. And
you better break those stereotypes.
So, they always say we're afraid of the water, African Americans are afraid of the water, but I kind of overcome that. So I love to try to go after those things in life that make your life more colorful. Right.
Yes.
And not have you be this kind of monochromatic personality throughout life. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. It's interesting. I grew up in the Panhandle, and from small country town, and literally we lived about 30 minutes from Panama City, 45 minutes from Destin. But I can't count on my hands the many times we actually went to the beach, so it's like, wow. So, so that is awesome that you took that. A lot of us have fears of water, and we have to embrace, and especially for, safety and teaching our children and passing that on. So kudos to you. I think that's great.
Thank you.
I love that.
I love
it. Now I know that you're in the STEM industry, right? So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So why did you choose this career path? And just tell us more about your journey, because like I was sharing earlier, it's very eclectic, as we were chatting, getting to know each other earlier this week.
Yes. Both of my parents are educators. And so my mother taught world history, and my father taught science and reading, elementary science and reading. And so I would always do these science projects, my dad was a science teacher, so I had, a little bit of a leg up, if you would, on different concepts in science. And so I learned to love it early. And then in the 5th grade, I believe it was, we started studying microbes and, just bacteria and, just
Wow.
the different aspects of the animal kingdom. And so I remember playing outside one day and taking a sample of the water from a puddle and taking it to my 5th grade science class. And we looked at it under the microscope and we actually saw an amoeba. So it was like, these things are real, right? It's not just textbook, right? We actually identified an amoeba. And so I think that kind of just turned me on to science and went on and, just took more biology and chemistry throughout high school. And finally, it was in, I guess, high school that I had a teacher, Daryl Goldman, who said, this is what you know, this is what you love, this is what you're passionate about, is science. And I told him, I said, I don't know if I want to wear a lab coat every day and, walk in and do research papers. And I knew I didn't really want to be a doctor, but I still loved biology. And so he said, well, why don't you consider the application of technology with science? And so I started thinking, and, just like any person planning on going to college, you kind of do your little research. And so I came up with this thought about doing biomedical engineering. And went to Louisiana Tech University, pursued a biomedical engineering degree, was probably one of 8 women in the entire class pursuing biomedical engineering, and certainly one of 3 African-American women in the biomedical engineering class of 1997. And actually one of 5 to have graduated from the program in its entirety at that time.
Wow.
So it was a labor of love. It was something that I knew that I wanted to do. And when I graduated from college, not too long after, I got an offer from the NASA Johnson Space Center. And started working in medical devices and biotechnology, life sciences, engineering department. And it all started from there. So, have stuck with an engineering career of some sort for 23 years now.
Wow.
And
really? 22?
Yeah.
Okay. You look fabulous. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's how I got started. I've done different things in engineering. I worked at NASA for 12 years, but eventually decided that I was actually bored with with launching shuttles and space stations, and even worked the Russian Mir program for a while when we decommissioned Mir from orbit back to space. And so decided to go work in private sector and worked Department of Defense and the Navy for a little while, did some consulting. I've worked in consumer electronics and with air conditioning systems for Ingersoll Rand. Even have done some telecommunications with Cox Communications. Awesome. I've worked in nonprofit organizations with Society of Women Engineers. Went on to work at Harley Davidson, working in the automotive industry, and now working with Abbott Laboratories. So having a good time back in the medical diagnostics world. So my love for, I guess, science and the application of science, right? And that's really what engineering is applied science, putting the concepts of science to work.
Wow.
So, just have always done it, but found different ways to apply that knowledge across different sectors and across different industries.
That's awesome. Wow. Look at this. Like I could just a lot of work. Right. I can take on my notepad. You have so much experience, just a beautiful background and what you've done, and thank you for, taking the path less taken and pursuing what you really loved. So, and when what you currently love. So I just think that's amazing. And I'm
Thank you.
sure as you have been on your journey, you've experienced a lot of management and leadership roles. So, and earlier you were sharing with me, you consider yourself as an industry professional.
Yeah.
And so what would you say, like, what is the best way to develop ourselves as entrepreneurs or as corporate women in leadership in the workplace?
One of the things I think is important, and a lot of times we get this coaching about competency, but I think there's this other piece that's even more important. That's communication, and so you have to be able to communicate broadly.
That's good.
And engineering is can be very granular, right? Engineering, math, and I'm sure that is true of any study, right? Anything can be as minute and as much minutia as you want. But you have to be able to communicate it across all levels, right? And so part of honing in on that communication skill and perfecting that communication skill is being able to relate your knowledge to people who are in the education sector, right? So being able to communicate the needs of science and technology and math, in my case, to educators, being able to have the conversation with people who are executives and what that may mean to them, being able to relate those concepts to people who are in nonprofit, right? And why it's important to them. What is the value to those who are part of the nonprofit world? Being able to communicate to kids, being able to show the connection and draw the dotted line between those who are part of our senior population, right? Your conversation has to be able to be framed in a context that is applicable to anybody who is on any walk of life. And so that is, I think, the key to being successful, is being able to successfully communicate. We can be as smart as we want to be, right? You can work, and again, here's my example, right? I can do calculus all day long. I teach geometry in the evenings, to help the kids out, right? I'm good at that stuff.
Yeah.
But can I communicate what I do to others, right? And show the value of what it is that I do to the next individual at the point of their need, not just at the point of my own need. And so I think that is what establishes you, or establishes an individual as someone who is a professional, that helps them accelerate and advance in the workplace. Good communication skills carries across credibility, right?
Good.
And the more people are able to understand you, the more credible your knowledge is to them.
That's
so
good.
I would say my number one piece of advice, if I were giving it to anyone, is, go get your degrees, go get your OJT, get your nice resume, nice LinkedIn page. Yeah, do all that stuff. Yeah. But you gotta be articulate, and you gotta know how to communicate across the board.
That's powerful. It kind of reminds me of transferable skills, being, like you were saying, being able to, move and shake in any industry and communicate effectively. And oftentimes I think what public speaking is like the number one, I guess, fear or whatever. But it's like, it's so many resources out there that we can use. I know for our season, I was in Toastmasters. Not too long. I had so much going on, but it's so many, communities out there and support if anyone is looking to grow, because you're right. Communication, like if you, and really it's attached to confidence. And if you don't have the confidence to communicate, you're not, you
have to be able to tell the story, right?
You do.
You can't tell anybody on the concept if you can't communicate well. And I always tell people, we have this idea of, I'm gonna go to high school and I'm gonna make great grades, and then I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna be summa cum laude, right? And I'm gonna get this degree and I'm gonna get my master's, and I'm gonna get my PhD. And it's almost like giving a lot of people hammers and then handing them a box of crooked nails.
Wow.
Right? You still can't accomplish anything if you don't know how to communicate. And that's what that lack of that lack of being able to communicate is just a box of crooked nails. You have all of these papers, you have all the hands, but you've got a box of crooked nails and you can't accomplish anything.
Wow. And it's interesting. I really believe it kind of goes going back to the basics, and that's social skills. And sometimes we think, that's just for kids. That's, that's for children. But no, even as adults, we can learn and enhance our social skills.
And even more so for adults, actually, because kids, we can give them a little grace, right? They're not mature yet. They haven't developed yet, right? 100%. But once we become adults and we are expected to be accountable to our knowledge and the things that we've done and the things that that we are called to do, right? We need to have a little bit of a more refined skill set.
Yes, refinement. I love it. Now we spoke about this for almost an hour, and that's about creativity and the importance of creativity. I know those who are more analytical prone, that's something you were sharing, like really need outlets. Actually, we all need creative outlets, to be honest, but especially for those, like you're saying, who are very prone to be more analytical in their thinking. So, so can you expound more on that perspective? The importance.
I think one of the things that I think all individuals at some point in their lives struggle with is expressionism, right? Just having that outlet to be expressive, not just to express emotion. So, because I want to take this away from this idea of, I need to be able to express the fact that I'm happy, or I need to express the fact that I feel sexy, or I need to, whatever. But this outlet that allows us to express who we are occupationally.
Yeah.
What are we about passionately? Our ability to express who we are spiritually.
Yeah.
Philosophically, right? All these things that that in many times, because we are taught to conform, right, to be accepted. We aren't given this pathway to express who we really are, to be authentic to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so what we end up doing is we don't explore those avenues, right? And we never truly discover ourselves, and we miss out on so much potential and the things that we are capable of, because we sort of just kind of, turn a blind eye to our need for expressionism. Yeah. And so one of the things I've been very committed to in my own life is to find that path that allows me to be creative.
That's good.
And to be expressive.
That's good.
I am a STEM professional. I know math. I do science. I do a lot of things that require a lot of calculations and things like that. But there are other parts of me too that I love. And one of the things, one example is this summer, when COVID struck in the spring, in the early late spring, there were a lot of kids who were being sent home, and there was a lot of illness, and we were all wearing our masks and being careful. And so social distancing was a big thing, and the kids were just, not being able to go outside and play in the summer. So I said to myself, what can I do? And I thought about me and Comic Con and Marvel Comics. So I love Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And so this creative part of me came out, and I started developing all this content around introducing kids of this generation to Stan Lee and his vision for amazing people and powers, and started putting together these classes that I taught online, teaching kids about Marvel Comics. And I mean,
how was that? So how was that experience?
Oh my gosh, I had a blast. Personally, the kids come alive. It's like, what? Because they watch Avengers Endgame and they think they know Marvel. That's not it, right? So, but
the true fans know
to be expressive and to not do calculations. Yeah. So it was really just an avenue for me to take that part of me inside that is just wild and imaginative about the multiverse, this Marvel multiverse, that's just like bedazzled by this whole idea of comic book characters, and help bring it to life for other people who weren't born in that generation where we read comic books. And so it was a release in a lot of ways, a release and an ability to explore a different side of me, right? To become a stronger storyteller, to become a different type of communicator. So now I'm not communicating thermodynamics anymore. I'm communicating what it means for, Iron Man to have an arc reactor on his chest and what palladium really is, kind of. So the kids came alive. I was at one point teaching 10 sections of Marvel Comics. I had waiting lists of parents, 600 parents of more trying to get their kids into my classes. It was an amazing summer. It has been amazing.
That's great. And build on that. We were, encouraging one another and just sharing with you. Build on it, because you never know what that will grow and develop into. And so I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing.
I'm coming up with new ideas every day. I right now I have a couple of elementary schools in Wisconsin who are converting the online classes to virtual clubs. So we're starting to package it in different ways. Trying to even think about ways to do it as a remote offering so people can kind of like get online and do it on their own time. So we'll see where it goes.
I'm excited to see how that develops and matures. So that is beautiful. Well, now before we leave, we have a few minutes left, but there is a big announcement.
I do have a big announcement. So
share with us.
Yes. So I, for many years, I have wanted the pageant experience, right? And to meet other remarkable women. And so I am actually going to be competing this next year for the Miss Corporate America pageant, representing my hometown, Moss Point, Mississippi. So I am very, very excited to be on stage representing this idea of whole living and authenticity and moving away from status quo, what we were coached to conform to, and finding that next outlet for expression. So it's going to be an exciting time. I've never done anything like this in my life, right? Just, new journeys, new experiences, and it only can serve to grow you, right? It can only serve to add to you and not subtract. So I'm excited. It
definitely does. I'm excited for you. I share with the other ladies, it's just a great weekend to connect with other women, solid women who are, solid in their mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I'll be there the whole weekend, so we're gonna be hanging out. I'll be with all the ladies. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that for
I
you.
am looking so forward to it. I know it's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to meet you, ladies.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. Also, quick shout out for Brenda and Lolita and anyone else that's watching. Make sure you give us some hearts, give us some likes, show us some love. I hope you all
Thank
have, yes, I really hope you all have enjoyed the conversation as much as I have, today with Lana. And so thank you again. We look forward to seeing more of you in the upcoming year. Hopefully soon you'll receive your sash and you can start
you.
campaigning as you see fit, or just wear it, maybe popping up to class with your sash on with your students. They will love that.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to. Thank you so much, Candace, for having me today. I enjoyed the conversation and sharing, and I look forward to everything that is to come. So,
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you for all of our viewers. Until next time, rain on.
bye.
Bye.